All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley back with you for 9 minutes with me all over Facebook, IGTV, and YouTube. Make sure you hit me up on Twitter at Mike L Sports as well, and download and subscribe to my podcast. It's called the ML Sports Platter, all over the place. Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, Stitcher, Deezer, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Make sure that you go download the ML Sports Platter. I've had some unbelievable guests on the last few weeks. Mark Cannizzaro, the author of 7 Days in Augusta. I've had Jerry Tarkanian's son on, Danny, who wrote a biography on the Shark. I had ESPN's Steve Levy on. And I'm working on a bunch of others. MLB Network's Billy Ripken joined me. So make sure you download, subscribe. Great listening, great guests. Listen on the Bluetooth on your way to work and all the rest. This video is presented by Empower Federal Credit Union, Heights of Liverpool, Bryant and Stratton College, and our great friends at World of Beer Destiny USA in Syracuse, New York. If you are in and around Central New York, tomorrow as we record this, Thursday at 2:30, I'm hosting a St. Bonaventure watch party. So if you're an alum or you're a basketball fan, come on out. We're going to have food specials, giveaways at halftime with a raffle. Free of charge. Everything's going to be really great. All the games are going to be on, so we're going to watch some hoops and have some fun. So come on out and join us for that 2:30 World of Beer third deck of Destiny USA's Canyon area. Come on out, have a beverage, and of course get some appetizers and watch some awesome wall-to-wall basketball. I want to get into something that has recently happened. I know that everybody on earth, all the podcasts, all the national shows, all the columns, etc., not all, but so much of all of this stuff, the coronavirus is obviously at the top of mind of everybody. People are writing and reading about it. I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm not trying to, poke fun and say that there is zero, importance with this stuff, or that, there's really nothing, happening at all. There is obviously something going on, and there could be people carrying the virus around the United States. But the reality is there's probably under 1,000 coronavirus cases right now of people who have been detected. I do understand that there are a few people who are out there who have died. But again, more people last year died from the flu. But I'm going to take the angle from a media person, and not a lot of people may understand this. And this isn't an education piece. It's just kind of a piece to just throw out there, and you can kind of listen and grab your own take with it and be a sponge, with this information, or you don't have to watch it all. But one thing that happened recently was that all professional sports leagues, NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, although the NFL isn't in season, but the major pro sports leagues basically have agreed to not allow the media into locker rooms after the games. This is a crucial decision for media people, and here's why. When you go cover a sporting event, okay, it's not just about the X's and O's. It's not just about the three-pointer late in the second half. It's not just about the 12-2 run in the first half. It's not just about, a fourth liner who hasn't scored in 3 months, putting one, past the goaltender for a game winner. It's not just about the great shootout. It's not just about LeBron James's triple-double. It's about a lot more than that. It's about the pregame. It's about showing up at 3:30 in the clubhouse. It's about being in the NBA, and maybe you have a relationship kind of brewing through the season with a guy who was signed in free agency, but he doesn't quite know who you are as a reporter yet because you're the local guy, and now you're getting towards the playoffs, and he's been talking to you off and on for about 6 months, but he's now ready to share a lot more because he's been with you the entire season. And a lot of fans out there will be like, oh, come on, you're full of baloney. Folks, I'm here to tell you that when you are a beat person, when you're a reporter, when you're in a market, when you go to several games, maybe not even all of them, it's important for you to get to know the player. It's important for you to know the athlete outside of just what his job is on the ice, on the floor, or on the field. It's incredibly crucial. I'll give you an example. Chris Joseph, when he played at Syracuse University, one of my top 3 to 5 players I've ever covered. Probably him, Johnny Flynn. They're on the short list for sure. But Chris Joseph, a couple years into his career, he knew who I was. I was in the locker room after every single game. I was getting sound from a lot of guys. He was a jokester. We kind of started talking about some cool stuff, music and his background and, Canadian sports and all the rest. But as he got older in his career, he was wearing this Eskimo. It was a winter mask. It reminded me, of an Eskimo. The strings came down. You could tighten it like this, and it was right over your head with a big ball up on top. And Chris Joseph said it was the warmest hat he'd ever had. Well, get this. They go to Georgetown and play, come home. The next home game for Syracuse, I go into the locker room, and the Eskimo hat, which I called it, wasn't even in his locker. And I said, Chris, what happened? He goes, oh, man. He looks at me, he goes, Somebody stole it, man. Isn't that the worst thing you've ever seen? But I got another one coming for my sister. And so then we started talking about, when the hat was going to come, and it became a joke for a couple of games. And then a couple of games later, sure enough, he had the hat on for interviews. And I walk up and I look over to him and he goes, like this, and he pointed at me. That's bonding. That's rapport. That's getting to know somebody. That's building a relationship so that when a big game happens and Chris Joseph makes a huge three-pointer, he might give you some insight into what happened in practice that week about maybe a particular screen that they worked on or something that the team talked about that he hasn't talked to other reporters, but because you've become friends with him, he will tell you that information. And all of a sudden, you go up a couple levels over all the other reporters in your market. You maybe do a call-in show back to that host, and you've got information that nobody does in the market. It's just how media works. It's how the relationship works. It's how covering sports work. That's why I've always told people that in the Central New York market, it's mind-boggling to me how a lot of radio hosts just don't show up to the Carrier Dome anymore. There's certain people who haven't been to the Dome in 2, 3, 4 years. I'm not going to name any names because, frankly, they know who they are. I think it's completely embarrassing. Now, listen, while the Carrier Dome is a very difficult place to work, the wireless is bad, the seating is bad, it's tough to see, the parking's atrocious, obviously the weather is a challenge every time you go cover a sporting event. That's not the point. And I'm not saying you have to go to every single one like a beat reporter. Let's see, like a Mike Waters for Syracuse.com and the like, or the folks in Buffalo who are there, the Matthew Fairburns of the world, or some of the TV guys who go all the time, or perhaps, a lot like a Vic Carucci, those kind of people who are there every single game. But if you're in the market, you should be there 4, 6, 8 times. I remember when I tried out for a morning show at WGR, I was up for a talk gig a few years back. It was down to 6 people, and I couldn't believe one of the hosts who I co-hosted with who told me, yeah, I don't really go to any of the Sabre games. I mean, I have to be up at, 5:36 for the morning show. I don't go. I could go. Media passes. I could go on the weekend. You should go. You need to be in those locker rooms. You need to be talking to Jack Eichel every, 2, 3, 4 times a week. You need to be talking with a ton of the players. You need to be there. You need to be involved in talking with a lot of the players. It adds credibility for you. And then when you can go on the radio show, you can say, I talked to Joe Girard last night. I talked to Jack Eichel last night. I talked to so-and-so last night, and here's what he said, and play the audio, or you can even paraphrase with your own words, and that adds credibility. When you're at an event, it adds credibility. You're building relationships. You're talking with people. You're talking with people from outside the market who come in, or people not just outside the market on a national scale, but teams, opposing teams, beat reporters who come in. It's important to be there. Talk to them. Get a business card. Email them. Get them on your radio show. Get them to do a Q&A for a piece that you're writing about. These are all important things in terms of being at the venue. And then on top of that, it's what you do in the locker room, conversing with players, sharing things about your hobbies and your families, etc. It's those things that will vault you up into them sharing stories about their game, maybe the inside info that you didn't know about that nobody else is getting. Sweeney Murdy has been great at this, covering the New York Yankees through the years for multiple outlets in New York City and on a national level for MLB Network and the like. I remember watching him and Mariano Rivera talk. It was like they were incredible friends, and now Sweeney basically calls him anytime, and Mariano Rivera picks up. Those are the things that are important here, and by the leagues banning the media in the postgame, while I know that they're looking out for the safety of people in our country and the like, it is a devastating blow to reporters and writers everywhere because that relationship building is crucial on a daily basis. Ken Rosenthal wrote a little bit about this in The Athletic today as well. So that's just my 2 cents on the topic. Make sure you hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports. This video is brought to you by Rosie's Corner in and around Central New York. Go grab the pizza, wings, pasta, hot and cold subs, and more for all of the March basketball. And of course, we are sponsored by Barks and Rec Doggy Daycare, Sit Means Sit Syracuse, and our terrific friends at Empower Federal Credit Union. Find your peace of mind today with Empower, empowerfcu.com. Thanks for watching 9 Minutes with me all over IGTV, Facebook, and YouTube. And as I always tell you, enjoy the games.